I'll call the meeting to order.
So we've always
We'll
done.
go into executive session. We're going into executive session right now, so. We gotta vote. Oh, yeah. Roll call vote. Mary?
Do we need to make someone?
There needs to be a motion.
Yeah. I'll get it together here in a minute.
Well, I move that we go into executive, we adjourn to go into executive session.
Your second?
I'll second that.
Have motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Roll call, Mary?
Here.
Eve?
Aye. Aye.
Aye, unanimous vote, so we are now in executive session. All right, thanks. Yeah. We'll call the meeting to order. First item of business is establishing a full quorum. We have a full quorum tonight. And the next is we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I have just a brief statement tonight. Yesterday, Trustees Havercroft, Zimmerman, Knutson, and myself, along with President Swain and Tom Green and Chris Wagar from the Sheriff's Department, were in Boise, where President Swain testified in the JFAC committee. And then we had a private meeting with the governor to discuss educational matters. And in the afternoon, we went to a press conference where the governor told about his launch program and gave testimony. And there were testimonies of the success of the program and the appreciation that people have for that program. So things went very well down there. It was time very well spent, and I'm glad we did it. Celebrating success. Amber Haas.
We have one of the best PTK Phi Theta Kappa programs in the country, and Amber Haas runs that out of the provost's office and has done a great job leading it. And so I'll let her give a quick presentation on what they're doing.
Thank you. Chair Corkle, President Swain, trustees, colleagues, and North Idaho College supporters, thank you for the time to celebrate Phi Theta Kappa at North Idaho College. I am Amber Haas, staff advisor for our Delta Kappa chapter. I actually co-advise with faculty advisor Dr. Nicole Wilms, and I brought with me today our chapter president, Natanya Gallagher. So, what is Phi Theta Kappa? PTK is an international honor society for students at two-year colleges that offers scholarships, leadership development, community service, professional development, and academic success. Not everyone is eligible to participate. Students must have completed 12 hours of coursework towards their associate's degree or 6 hours towards a one-year certificate, and they must hold a GPA of 3.5 or higher. For 2024, our chapter reached 4 stars on what PTK calls a 5-star chapter plan. This is a program that recognizes PTK chapters that demonstrate exceptional engagement. In order to accomplish 4 stars, the chapter invited eligible students, participated in a regional event in Vancouver, Washington, engaged chapter officers who completed PTK EDGE courses, and as an advisor, I completed an EDGE course designed exclusively for advisors. Additionally, we engaged in college project and entered our project into a competitive program called the Hallmark Awards. Finally, we made a nomination to the individual Hallmark Awards that recognizes individuals on our campus that are exceptional at supporting our chapter. In addition to achieving the 4 stars, the chapter was named a 2024 REACH chapter. Phi Theta Kappa's REACH Rewards program recognizes and rewards Phi Theta Kappa chapters that excel in membership development. So around 2020, the membership in our PTK chapter declined quite a bit, and we've been building that back steadily. For 2024, we saw a slight increase in membership, and we hope to see the same for 2025. We invited 767 new eligible students just last month, which demonstrates an incredible academic achievements of NIC students. And I'm going to now let Natanya tell about our officers and the work we've been doing.
My name is Natanya Gallagher, and I have been the chapter president since August 2024. I lead our chapter officers in biweekly meetings to plan and implement our chapter events and achievements. And as you can see, we have a full leadership team this year. For our 2024 college project, we engaged the campus community in a nonpartisan voter registration drive. You can see here a few of our members tabling in front of the Student Union building on National Voter Registration Day, where we informed and assisted students in getting registered to vote. At all of our fall events, we engaged the community by inviting them to vote between two candies, Skittles or Starbursts, Sour Patch or Swedish Fish. This allowed us the opportunity to talk about the importance of voting in a fun, low-stake way, in addition to our tabling events at the Fall College Resource Fair on National Voter Registration Day, at night at the library, and on Election Day. We simultaneously launched a social media campaign to increase awareness and encourage participation in the 2024 election. To kick off this year, we joined the Spring Campus Club Fair with a Take What You Need, Leave What You Can kindness campaign. Words of encouragement were shared among students, faculty, and staff. For 2025, we have PTK Catalyst coming up, where myself and another officer will travel to Kansas City, Missouri for the annual convention. We will participate in educational forums and college and career fairs and connect with fellow students. There will be some great guest speakers and Hallmark Awards will be presented. After that, we will have a spring induction ceremony where we will celebrate our members and everything they've accomplished. And of course, it is time to start planning for our 2025 chapter project and 5-star chapter goals.
Last but not least, we'd like to recognize our Phi Theta Kappa All-USA nominees. Congratulations to Madeline Schwartz and Tasha Hanford for your nomination. So we are here for questions.
Amber, talk about the students that won scholarships last year at the national level. We had a couple.
We've had at least a couple for the last few years. I think Bryce Tellinghassan, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, was one of our recipients last year. He was our PTK chapter president, and he won a workforce training scholarship. I think it gave him $1,500 to move on to his transfer program. And usually that's what we're seeing is we're getting both a transfer and a workforce education scholarship going to two of our members, and it's been the last 2 years, so we have yet to get the results for this year.
I think Amber and her running of the program is really responsible for our students being recognized at the national level. She gets them all ready to go, and so I think hats off to Amber for all the work she's done.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we have public comment. We have 2 people want to comment tonight. The first one is Michael McGowan. Hang on just a second so we get the timer set up.
Okay, good evening. This is for the good of the order. The order of an educational institution is going to be, of course, whatever conduces to education. That's going to be 2 different aspects, either just didactic, conveying information, or also, and more important, I think, the teaching by word or example of proper social behavior and morals. So last Saturday, there was an event, public town hall of the various politicians around here. There were some leftist agitators there that caused a great disturbance to the point that one of them, Teresa Borenpol, had to be hauled out physically. I was there, saw all of this, and walking out, I happened to see Dr. Swain talking to one of the leaders of these people. Now, I'm not judging him. I don't know what he was talking about, but let's just say it's a very bad look when the leader of an educational institution is encouraging or given the appearance of encouraging antisocial behavior. So,
Let's be careful. You're towing the line here and getting very close to a personal attack, and that's not what public comment's about. So if
sir,
you
I
have
don't
some-
intend to attack Dr. Swain at all. I've just said.
This is not for the good of the order.
I
okay.
disagree, sir. These people, this is the way it works, people. People that are conservative, not allowed to speak, but leftist agitators, they are.
Okay, now we have Mitch Amaral.
I'll just go down. Can you hear me okay?
Just
All right.
fine.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for hearing me. And I'm not even sure if this is the proper forum, but the fact that you're having a board meeting, and I was informed by a gentleman about this board meeting, it's a community concern that we have. There's a program that's been running in the community for, my understanding, is about 7 years. My own son has participated. It is called the Lake City Bicycle Collective. And I don't know if anybody on the board is familiar with this program, but part of a NIC facility is used for that purpose. And it's been ongoing, my understanding is around 7 years. The director of the program actually lives out of state right now. It's a volunteer program where bicycles are donated to this cause. They are then rehabilitated, refurbished, and then given out to the community, a lot of times through Rotary and different community organizations. I think the police department has a connection as well where bikes are given out at Christmas time. And our concern is that it's a small portion of the building. My understanding is that Coeur d'Alene Public Works uses another part of the building, and that term is being revoked. And there's a very small window for us to see if we can get a stay on that revocation, get an extension. They have, my guess would be several hundred bicycles on that property currently. And we're looking for just kind of a stopgap solution, anything to be able to forward this service to the community. It's very valued. We're talking about underprivileged, whether it's students, young adults, children, et cetera, that are being availed of bicycles for little.
Thank you for your comment, and I would, if you have the time, I would urge you to stay till the end of the meeting and discuss this with Dr. Swain, okay? Good deal. Thank you. Next is constituents reports. We'll start with Asnick.
Good evening, Chair Corkill, Board of Trustees, President Swain, and community members. ASNEC has quite a bit to report from the past month. First of all, we recently completed a minor project to add a pair of beanbag chairs to the ASNEC suite. We've been thinking about this project for a couple years, and fairly low budget project, but they've been appreciated already, even though we've only had them out for about a week. We've also been working on our annual spring survey, which will be going out to all students by the end of next month. Additionally, we've started the process of planning our budget for next year's ASNIC team. It's still in the preliminary stage, but we just started looking at the numbers, and we've got quite a bit more to play with than last year, so super happy with that we're able to kind of extend some of our budget lines, like our events budget, to have some more events for students, because that's one of our biggest costs for our budget each year. And finally, speaking of next year's ASNIC team, we're beginning the ASNIC election cycle next month. Second week of March, declaration of candidacy will start for ASNIC positions, and that'll run for a month, and then we will hold a 1-week election period during which an election survey will go out to all students. Our other activities in March will include helping with Night at the Library and holding an ice skating event at Frontier Ice Arena for students. In addition, 4 of us, myself and my vice president and 2 of our senators, will be flying to New York City for the annual ACUI Leadership Development Conference next month. And I have one last item to report. This month, ASNIC took some time to review our vote of no confidence with our entire team, and after some discussion, ASNIC has elected to issue a statement regarding our vote of no confidence, and we would like to share that statement with you tonight. The Associated Students of NIC Student Government would like to express its appreciation to the Board of Trustees for acknowledging the votes of no confidence and working to rebuild trust with the constituency groups. We commend the board for taking steps to resolve the recommendations of the NWCCU and the issues outlined in the votes of no confidence. We recognize that the board has taken action to resolve our stated concerns with transparency, professionalism, and ethical and respectful conduct in its actions. Although some of these issues were resolved with time and not direct action, we thank the board for taking steps to address the remaining points of concern from ASNIC's vote of no confidence. In response to these circumstances, the ASNIC student government is pleased to state that we hereby withdraw our vote of no confidence against the Board of Trustees. We hope to see continued improvement from the board, and we look forward to working with you as you continue to restore trust with the students, the constituency groups, and the community, and to serve the best interests of this college. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have. Any questions?
One question. Trustee Zimmerman.
Actually have 2 questions.
Certainly.
When are your elections held? You said the second week of March, you're going to publicize it, but when do you actually hold your elections?
So our candidate application period ends the 7th of April. So the week immediately following, I believe it's the 7th through the 15th, we will hold our elections. The survey will go out. Students will have a week to respond, and elections will close by 5 p.m. on, I believe it's April 15th.
That's a really good day. The leadership conference that you're going to, I don't recall ever hearing about it. Have previous students gone, or is this new?
This has, not every year, but this has been something we've done before. Actually, last year's team went to the national conference that was held in Denver. This year, it's in New York. We weren't able to bring our entire team because it's a bit of an additional cost to go all the way across the country, but we're going with 4 of us who've mostly been on the team a little longer and had a little more time to plan for this. So we've had this in the works for a few months.
I think that's great, and I look forward to hearing about it. I think we all look forward to hearing about your experience, and have a great time.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Okay. Faculty Assembly.
Chair Corcoran, trustees, President Swain, and our accredited NIC faculty, staff, students, and community members. On February 13th, we held our faculty assembly meeting, and we also do celebrations at those meetings. We call them faculty celebrations. And we were treated to a presentation by Associate Professor of Sociology, who is also our new coordinator of the North Idaho College Teaching and Learning Center, Dr. Nicole Wilms, about how the Teaching and Learning Center is helping to onboard new faculty, providing professional development units for ongoing faculty training, and looking to establish a faculty advisory committee that will help determine the direction that the Teaching and Learning Center will go. We are very, very happy to have Dr. Wilms at the helm of this important initiative. We then heard regular reports from Senate, Student Learning Outcomes Assessment Committee, advising updates, Open Education Resource Committee, an adjunct faculty report, an accessibility update, and a brief chair's report. During old business, business professor and commencement committee chair Christy Mendoza informed faculty about the procedures and responsibilities for faculty's contractual obligations during our now 2 commencement ceremonies on May 16th. Faculty will be asked to identify which commencement ceremony they will be going to so that we can have an even distribution of faculty presence at both of those ceremonies in order to celebrate our graduates. During our new business, new Student Athletic Development Coordinator Sam Holder and Information Technologies Cami Jenks came and presented to faculty the new digital process for submitting student athletic academic progress reports. Together with our IT department, athletics, I was honored to be part of this new process, which will save a lot of time, both from a faculty standpoint and from the standpoint of the athletic department. It'll be more consistent in requesting progress information throughout the semester, increase usable information about athletic progress, and provide SAM with really needed information on individual athletes for what they need in terms of advising, referrals to support services to help keep our athletes on track academically. Then the Cardinal Reads Committee has finished our book selection process for the 2025 through 2027 academic years. We pick a book that is common and used in classes throughout the time. It matches our diversity theme for that 2-year period of time. And we're just finishing with The War on Kindness and The Night Watchman. And our new book that was done to the theme Common Ground, Civility, and Information. We put out a request for nominations. We received 11 nominations, which was wonderful. We narrowed that down through a rubric to 5 books that we read, and then did a voting process. And our winner is I Never Thought of It That Way, How to Have Fearlessly Curious Conversation in Dangerously Divided Times, by Seattle author Monica Guzman, who we're really hoping we're going to be able to bring on campus in person or digitally next year. We have sent out an announcement to all faculty and staff that the books are available in the library, and we have brought copies for all of the board members and the board member staff. If you are interested, they're back at the table with Kristen and Susie. So get ready for fabulous opportunities in the next 2 years to, in the author's words, understand and even learn from people in your life whose whole worldview is different from or even opposed to yours. So thanks a lot to the Cardinal Reads Committee for their work on this and all of the civility-based events that will follow in the next 2 years. That concludes my chair report. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff Assembly.
Good evening, Chair Corkle, trustees, President Swain, and community members. Staff Assembly met on February 13th and had another very standard meeting with Chair and Senate reports, updates from campus departments, and good of the order. Each month, we try to recognize a different campus department and invite them to our meetings. And this month, we were delighted to have Angie Ricasey, who is an assistant professor of hospitality management, to share information on Emory's and the Lakeview Sip and Study. So we encourage our staff to check out the student-run restaurant for some delicious food and to support our culinary arts students. That concludes my report. Does the board have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
President's report. Excuse me, Senate. I'm getting too fast
Making
here.
it fast. Good evening, Chair Corkle, trustees, President Swain, colleagues, and community members. Senate met last Thursday, February 20th, where we completed the second read of the Cloud Services Policy 3.08.07, and that passed. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now the president's report.
Okay, so on January 28th, after our last board meeting. Okay, details. Okay, on January 28th, after our January board meeting, we attended our latest hearing with the full NWCCU Commission. The meeting, I think, went very well. Trustee Corkill and Zimmerman both attended with Vice President of Finance and Business, Sarah Garcia, Interim Provost Lloyd Duman, and our accreditation liaison, Steve Kurtz. The Commission had 30 days to release their official response, which happened on Monday, February 24th, as we were getting on the plane to fly to Boise. So after the flight attendant told me to turn my phone on airplane mode several times, but prior to that, I was able to download it and try to read it on my phone, which was a challenge. This time, for the first time, they released the letter to me and the college at the same time they published it on their website. So really, I didn't get a chance to read it until I got to Boise. So by that time, many of you were able to read it, and it was already disseminated, and we didn't know that, but it was good. If you read through it, you'd see that there are 11 recommendations that were remaining for us to address. That's what we were working on. And of those 11, they found that we were in compliance with 8. So that's pretty good progress. 2 of those, they say we need to have it, that we're in substantial compliance, but we need to do some more work. The remaining 3 that we are out of compliance on, we're well on our way towards resolving them. In fact, there were 3 different constituency groups that sent forth votes of no confidence, 13 total votes of no confidence over the past 2.5 years. Staff has already rescinded theirs. You heard students rescinded theirs. So the last remaining is faculty, and I suspect that they will take that up at some point. So that's the one issue that is left on the table. The others includes the board following established policies, professional conduct, ethics, and grievance procedures, which, as you heard from Joseph, it is, that professional conduct was one of the reasons why the students, staff, and faculty all set forth their votes of no confidence. So I think we've established that. I think the board is acting professionally, following policy, following grievance procedures, all the stuff that represents good governance. I think we're well on our way with that. I think the commission just needs to see more time. The third thing was the board and administration demonstrating a commitment to mutual respect in our interactions and planning. You'll hear about the strategic plan a bit later, so I think we're well on our way for that as well. The NWCCU acknowledged the great progress made by the entire team, the community at large, the staff, the faculty, the students, and the board, of course, in granting us an additional year to get into full compliance. And they made a special note. There's a provision for extending us for this full year. It's a good cause for extending us on sanctions, and they noted a couple of things that I think are really important. First of all is that student learning has not been compromised. Student learning was never compromised. I think that's really important. They asked us to provide teach-out plans as a contingency. We did that. They were very happy. We met the timelines and met all the requirements on our teach-out plans. Hopefully never have to use them. We demonstrated improvement on a majority of the non-compliance issues, again, hitting 8 of the 11. And then with the extensive board training, revised policies, and practices at recent meetings, we have demonstrated a reasonable plan for coming into compliance with all standards and eligibility requirements. So really, those are the 4 points that they said, because you've done that, and I think the big one there is that student learning was never compromised, and probably second to that is that based on the board conduct and how things are going now, that we have demonstrated a commitment to coming into compliance. They've expanded that out. So while we have a year, technically, they've extended it for a year, we have a year to get back to good standing. in reality, we have to address those problems and fix the remaining issues by August 2025. Okay, so by the end of August, we'll have to submit another report to NWCCU, and 6 weeks later, they'll come and visit. So mid-October, they'll come and visit us again and do a confirmation visit, and then we'll go back out to another hearing in January, February. The date isn't set yet. End of January, 1st of February, we'll do another hearing, and by that time, we have to be in full compliance. Now, some of the issues that they've noted, and I'm sorry, but this gets into some geeky education stuff, but where we are in full compliance, but they want to see more progress, technically we can be restored to good standing with those outstanding issues remaining. So there are a couple of things that they want to see fixed, but we can be restored to good standing as long as we fix the three that I identified: votes of no confidence, the following policies and procedures, and planning. So I think we're on the right track. So I think we'll be fine. We do have serious work to do, but I think we'll be good. In terms of enrollment management, some really, I guess, wait, sorry, one more time. I got like written notes in here, and I got to remember which part to go with. I'll say, going back to accreditation, in recognition for all the things that we have learned over the past couple of years, the ACCT has appointed Trustee Zimmerman to the National Public Policy Committee, and so she now represents not just us, but community colleges at the ACCT Community College Policy Committee at the national level. So that's a really big vote of confidence for Harry. So the next big topic is enrollment management. And so really, it's about, for us, it's about recruiting. We're closing up on the spring recruiting season. The actual census day is on the 15th of March. But as of today, we have 4,248 students. Okay, so put that in context. Last year at this time, we had 3,801. So we have 447 more students this spring than we had last spring. That's another 15% increase. We had a 15.5% increase in the fall, 15% increase in the spring. So I'll give you a couple more. Like, I like this data stuff. It's kind of cool. A little more geek out on the data. We track three different categories: academic transfer, the traditional associate's degree programs. We have 221 more students this year than last. That's a 23% increase from last year. In terms of our career and technical education, we have 45 more students. Keep in mind, we only have about 445 career and technical education spots, so we're up 45 from last year. That's a 12% increase. And in terms of dual credit, we have a whopping 262 new students, which is an 11% increase over last year. And something that is, I think, really important to us, we have 95 new students that started in the spring. And of course, typically new students start in the fall. So having 95 additional students start in the spring represents a 66% increase over last year. If you had a business and you were up 66%, it'd be good news. Certainly is for us. Last thing about enrollment is that March 10th is the last day to enroll in spring 8-week classes, which start on March 17th. So if you're interested in taking a class and you took algebra when you were in high school and you just never really figured it out, you want to take an algebra class, we can help you out. Sign up now, and you can start class on the 17th of March. Biology, there's engine repair courses. There's a whole laundry list of courses that are available in 8-week format, so you can get a whole semester stacked into 8 weeks. So if there's anything you're curious about, or you wish you had masters in high school, or whatever the case may be, still plenty of time to take advantage of those. In terms, the next topic I'll talk about is strategic planning. One of the big information items for tonight is an update on strategic planning. that is going to be shared with you by Dr. Sherry Simpkins, who was the co-chair of our strategic planning committee. So I'm not going to steal any of her information. You'll hear more from her later. And then finally, just in terms of a general update, I got a couple things to talk about. Workforce Training Center had its Safety Fest, which is a big event. It's really hosted by a number of companies and sponsors around that come in with experts, and they teach classes. Our folks teach classes. They had a total of 85 different courses that were taught over a 3-day period, and it was attended by 1,661 participants. So you could even get a forklift operator's license while you're there if you so choose. So it was a really nice event, well attended by our community. Second thing I'm going to talk about is our bus tour. This is second annual bus tour, and the students that came got these really cool T-shirts. These are going to be collector's items. They're a little bit different every year. On the back side, it says 2025, which distinguishes it from the 2024 version. And the trustees, I have different sizes up here for the trustees to take after the meeting. But we had a total of 375 students from most of the surrounding high schools, and 55 counselors came to campus this year. That's 115 more than last year. And so everybody got a tour of main campus as well as the Parker Center. And it has proven out that this is very effective at exposing the students to what NIC is, what we have to offer, and the wonderful campus that we have both here and at Parker Center. And it turns out that a lot of the students that participated last year in the bus tour showed up as students this year. So we hope to see all 375 of those students, and they were all seniors, so hope to see all 375 of them next fall. And as I mentioned earlier, we were at this JFAC thing on the airplane going down there, and Trustee Corkle stole some of my report, but what he didn't mention was that we also had lunch with the legislators, and out of the 14 North Idaho legislators, 12 showed up, and that is a huge increase over what has been in the past. Usually we'd get 1 or 2, so we had 12 of the 14 North Idaho legislators there, and Tyrell Stevenson from the Coeur d'Alene tribe, he's their lobbyist, he was down there, he showed up. And so it was a really nice event to have those guys there, talk about the issues again that they're right in the middle of now. We invited them to a legislative send-off back in December, but having them there for lunch and in the midst of the legislative session, being able to kind of remind them of what we need up here was, I think, really valuable part of it. So that's good. I'll finish up with athletics. Men's and women's basketball finishes up their regular season this week. Thursday, they have games at University of USU Eastern on Thursday, and then Snow on Saturday. The men are currently, I think, in third place, and which means they'll be in as long as they finish out the season well, they'll be in the regional tournament. Which will take place at the first place teams gets to host it, so it'll be at Snow College because they're a clear winner. And the women's regional, we're still in the hunt. We're tied with CSI, so that will take place on the March 13th or 14th, depending on this weekend how things go. The women could win, and NIC would get to host the regional tournament. So it's been a long time since we've been able to do that. So that would be great. Men's wrestling is back on a roll. 9 of our wrestlers are going to the NJCAA National Championships March 7th and 8th in Council Bluff, Iowa. And NIC did host, because we were the champions, we hosted the West District Regional on Sunday, February 9th. So our wrestlers are back in the game, and they're doing great. And we have a couple of really just great coaches in charge of that team. Men's and women's golf, yes, we still have men's and women's golf. And they're excited to have Brittany Pounds as the head coach now, and Adam Powers is our assistant coach. The team is working on the Southwest Regional competition, and they're working on the simulator. Oh, sorry, they're working on the simulator, which is in the SWRC, the gym, and they're traveling to Tri-Cities and Yakima this weekend for qualifying rounds. The men's season opens March 9th and 11th, March 9th through 11th at Bandon Dunes Invitational in Oregon. And the women are open up their season at the Wild Horse Golf Course in Las Vegas for the Vegas Warrior Open, March 14th to 15th. Softball begins conference play this weekend at CSI. They have a doubleheader on Friday, and just in case that doesn't go well, they have another one on Saturday. So 2 doubleheaders right in a row. So those young ladies will be pitched out. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Now, you already covered enrollment, but I believe we still have some stuff to talk about.
So Tammy Haft is our Dean of Enrollment Services, and she was gone last meeting because of a family emergency. So she's back to give a summary of the fall enrollment data.
Good evening, Chair Corkle, trustees, President Swain, council, community members, colleagues, and students. I am Tammy Haft, Dean of Enrollment Services, and it's a pleasure to be with you this evening to provide a high-level fall enrollment overview based on our October 15th census date. All right, can we get that back one?
That's all right, just go.
Thank you. First, I'd like to take a moment to share my reporting structure. I am one of 5 deans reporting to Interim Provost Duman. Under my leadership, I oversee the Director of Admissions and Recruitment and Financial Aid, as well as the Registrar and the Assistant to the Dean. Enrollment Services currently has 22 employees and 8 student workers, all dedicated to supporting our students and advancing our institutional goals. Over the past year, significant time and effort has been dedicated to recruitment and retention initiatives. I am pleased to share that these efforts have led to positive outcomes. Our official headcount stands at 4,590, marking a 15.3% increase from 3,981 in fall of 2023. This growth reflects the success of our strategies in attracting and retaining students at North Idaho College. Additionally, our full-time equivalency for this fall is 2,635, representing a 13.5% increase from last fall's 2,322. Full-time equivalency is calculated by dividing the number of registered credits, which we had 3,525, by 15. These numbers demonstrate meaningful progress, and we remain committed to sustaining this momentum. Now, let's take a look at our headcount breakdown. 47%, or 2,141 of our students, are enrolled in academic transfer programs. 38%, or 1,726, are participating in our dual credit program. 10%, 478, are pursuing career technical education programs here on the main campus and also at our Parker Technical Center, and 5%, 214, are non-degree seeking. Comparing these percentages to last year, academic transfer enrollment decreased by 5%, CTE enrollment saw a 1% decline, non-degree enrollment remained unchanged, and dual credit enrollment increased 6%. Looking at some key demographics, we see 35% of our students are under 18 years of age, a 5% increase from last fall, reflecting the growth of our dual credit program with area high schools. 40% are between 18 and 24, a 4% decrease from last year. 25% are 25 or older, down 1% from last fall. Our youngest student is 13, and our oldest is 86. 41% of our students are male and 59% are female. These figures remain consistent with last fall and align with the national trends. 39% of our students are receiving some sort of financial assistance. Among full-time students, those taking 12 credits or more, this percentage rises to 68%. For fall, nearly $500,000 has been awarded in foundation scholarships and almost $6 million in federal and state aid. 4% of our population are veterans, with over 100 students utilizing GI Bill benefits. Additionally, about 50 students receive dependent or spousal benefits to help offset their educational costs. And 3% of our students are student athletes participating in fall and winter sports. We continue to see more part-time than full-time students. 34% of our students are enrolled full-time, taking 12 or more credits, and 66% are enrolled part-time, taking 11 or fewer credits. 46% of this fall's students are new, representing a 37% increase in new students compared to last fall, and 54% are continuing. 51% of our degree-seeking students are first generation. This means that neither parent has graduated with their bachelor's degree. This percentage does not include our dual credit or non-degree students. 18% of our students are taking all of their classes online. 27% are participating in distance education, meaning they are enrolled in a mix of online and hybrid classes. Hybrid classes combine in-person instruction and online learning, with a substantial portion of the coursework delivered online. Both online and distance education enrollment have decreased slightly this fall. 89% of our students are Idaho residents, with 87% of them coming from the 5 northern counties we serve: Benewah, Bonner, Boundary, Kootenai, and Shoshone. Kootenai County alone accounts for 73% of Idaho's enrollment, an increase of 4% from last fall. Beyond Idaho, 5% of our students are Washington residents. 2% come from Western undergraduate exchange states, which include Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, North and South Dakota, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. 3% are from states outside the Western undergraduate exchange states or Washington, and 1% of our students are international. These numbers highlight the strong local presence of our student body while also reflecting our regional and global outreach. Here are the dual credit highlights. There are 1,726 students participating in the program. On average, these students enrolled in 6 credits or 2 classes. 70% took 1 or more classes at their high school. 36% were enrolled in 1 or more online course. While more dual credit students were attending part-time, 15% were attending full-time, taking 12 or more credits. The gender split is nearly even, with 51% female and 49% male. 21% of the dual credit students are high school seniors who have already applied to attend NIC this upcoming fall to finish their certificate or degree. These numbers highlight the strong engagement in dual credit programs and the pathway many students are taking to continue their education at NIC. Coeur d'Alene and Lake City continue to be the top feeders for our dual credit program. This fall, year over year, enrollment has increased at nearly all high schools with the exception of Post Falls and St. Mary's. And a couple of very notable highlights: Coeur d'Alene High School saw a 115% increase in the enrollment, and Timberlake High School experienced an impressive 327% increase from last fall. These numbers reflect the growing interest in our dual credit opportunities among our local high schools. What's next? We, as Nick mentioned, are placing a strong focus on recruiting and retention, and we are looking to summer and fall, so our recruitment and retention committees are actively working as registration opens in March. In April, I'll provide an official enrollment report for spring 2025, and I would like to extend my thanks to the institutional research team for their excellent work in providing tonight's data. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions? That was a very thorough and concise report.
Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. Okay, strategic plan. Sherry Simpkins.
Good evening, Trustee Corkle, Trustees, President Swain. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight and to walk you through the development of our strategic plan. The college started the process of developing the strategic plan way back in fall 2023. Sarah Garcia and I were asked to co-chair the development, and the college at that time chose to contract with Collaborative Brain Trust, a higher education consulting firm that guided our work. There were 3 community college executive leaders in different states that came with Collaborative Brain Trust and helped us really make good progress in a short amount of time. A strategic plan is designed to be a document that outlines the college's goals and actions needed to achieve them. It looks beyond day-to-day operations to set long-term direction for the organization. Having a strategic plan ensures alignment throughout the institution for divisional, departmental, and individual employee goals, as well as budget priorities and resource allocation. I like to think of a strategic plan as our northern star, something we can all point our boats toward and move forward, rather than each chasing our own individual stars and trying to figure out what direction to go. So moving forward, in November 2023, we had our first kickoff meeting of our Strategic Planning Steering Committee. And there were 20 individuals representing various groups on campus: administration, faculty, staff, Senate, and students. These are the people that sit on the Strategic Planning Steering Committee. So you can see it's a pretty large group, and a group that made a lot of really good progress. Moving forward, we moved into our data collection and analysis phase. This took place from December 23 to March 2024, and there were several pieces to this. One of those was an environmental scan, so looking at national, state, regional, and NIC data trends. The consultants held listening sessions here on campus. They held 29 sessions with 251 participants. The participants were our Board of Trustees, internal and external stakeholders. And then they did tours of Parker, Sandpoint, and the Workforce Training Center. The steering committee then in April 2024 was able to take all of this good information and develop 5 goals. And those goals were presented to the board in May 2024, and they were adopted by the Board of Trustees. And here are the 5 goals. Goal 1, enhance student access and support services to strengthen student success. Goal 2, provide streamlined, flexible pathways to success that empower students to reach their educational goals. Goal 3, expand and strengthen relationships with business, industry, educational, and community partners. Goal 4, create a unified educational system among the college and its centers. And Goal 5, achieve organizational efficiency and effectiveness by fostering a dynamic college environment that invests in employees, facilities, and technologies to support student success. So our next step then was summer. So the Collaborative Brain Trust kept working on a document that you can find on our website, and I'll show you where to find that. It's about a 35-page document. And then once the committee came back in September 2024, we established objectives for each of the goals. And I'll walk you through each of those. So for Goal 1, Goal 1's really centered around students. And 1.1 is about reducing enrollment barriers, 1.2, implementing retention strategies, and 1.3, targeted recruitment and marketing efforts. Goal 2 is about programs. 2.1 is designing pathways for career technical and transfer students. 2.2, instructional support. 2.3, communicating pathways and careers to students. And 2.4, developing dual credit pathways. Goal 3 is about our partners and partnerships with the community. 3.1 is about community engagement. 3.2, our relationships with the Coeur d'Alene tribe. And 3.3, increasing work-based learning for our students. Goal 4 is about systems. 4.1 is about the campus centers, Parker, Workforce Training, and Sandpoint, creating an integration and a seamless experience for our students. 4.2 is about communicating and marketing the centers. Goal 5 then is about infrastructure, and this is our biggest goal. There are several objectives under this one. So 5.1 is update our compensation structure for employees. Whoops, I'm gonna go back. 5.2, strategic resource allocation. 5.3, data reporting and metrics. 5.4, modern technology solutions. 5.5, facilities. And 5.6, student housing. So that moves us forward to October 2024. The Strategic Planning Steering Committee met again and identified goals and objective leads. These are specific people that are responsible for each of those objectives. And those individuals started drafting initial action plans. So the actions break down the objectives even further. Moving forward from November to present, we've been refining the action plans and are now really turning attention to determining what metrics we should use to measure the success of the strategic plan. So the strategic plan can be found on the website here. And if you'll notice let me go back. The box on the right-hand corner, that's where you can find the document if you really want to read about the full process and get all the good detailed information. It lives there on the website. The strategic plan will officially launch in July 2025. Although we've already started work on many of the objectives, I think we're really excited for the direction the college is taking place. So for example, the objective for 5.4, modern technology solutions, Ken Wardinsky has been helping us identify a scheduling software that we can implement on campus to ensure that we're offering courses when students need the courses to be offered. And there are many of the other objectives that we've already started launching as well. An intentional internal rollout process with all internal constituents will take place in fall 2025 convocation, and that will be a really valuable way for us to increase awareness, foster employee engagement, and provide a unified direction across all departments of the college. The annual monitoring process will provide opportunities to redirect the work as needed. So annually, we'll be evaluating and adjusting the plan. It's important that we really keep a focus on this, knowing the region's socioeconomic demographics could change, workforce changes could impact it, student demographics and needs could change, greater societal, the political landscape, both nationally and internationally. A lot of things could impact their strategic plan. I think we saw that in the last one that we developed, COVID hit, and that kind of threw everything in a tailspin and really changed our direction. So we'll continue monitoring it annually with a mid-cycle review taking place in fall 2027. And then the plan should last us, if done well, to June 2030. And the goal really is to maintain that dynamic document that will allow the college to be innovative and remain nimble. Are there any questions?
Not a question, but just a comment. That's a huge amount of work, so thank you. I recognize several names as committee people, and thank you for putting your efforts in it, because that really is a very useful document. So.
Thank you. It was definitely a team effort, but I think we had a lot of fun working through the process and are excited to be able to really implement it now.
Anything else? Thank you. Another fine report. Appreciate it. Okay, the next item is the consent agenda.
Well, we need to postpone the.
That's right.
But let me just say a couple comments about that. So the plan was, and this is, I think, important to note, that finish the strategic plan, big picture, and then start allocating resources according to the strategic plan. So the strategic plan is part of the budgeting process. We should assign resources to get us further ahead. And so the idea for tonight was to give you an update on the strategic plan and then follow that up with budget assumptions, which would talk about where we are with revenues, expenses, and what we're going to start to take on with the strategic plan. But Sarah Garcia, our Vice President for Business and Finance, had an unexpected event over the weekend and is not able to be back in action until next Tuesday. So we'll postpone this if you don't, I guess you probably have moved to postpone this until the next meeting, but that was the plan, and unfortunately we'll shift as Sherry said.
That was the plan. Does somebody care to make a motion to delay this until the next meeting?
Yeah, postpone, yeah.
Yeah. Chairman Corkle, I move that we postpone the budget assumption report to our next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I would second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we have the consent agenda. And I would entertain a motion to approve board minutes for January 22nd and approve the second reading of policy 3.0807, cloud services.
Chairman Corkle, I move that we approve the consent agenda, the board regular meeting minutes for January 22nd, and approve the second reading of policy 3.08.07, cloud services.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Old business, action, tab 3. Whoop, should not even say that. Approve on second reading of policy 3.0219.19, payroll deductions.
So this is listed as old business because it was introduced the first time a while back, and so it technically is second read, but we're addressing these that fall under that circumstance as kind of quasi first, second read. So our new churro, Megan Snyder, is going to give you an update on where we are with that.
Yes, this is the second read. This policy contained mostly procedural information, and so the intention was to shorten the policy and move most of it to procedure. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Chairman Corkle, I would like to make a motion that the board consider approving policy 3.02.19 as requested.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, new business. Amend president's contract to resolve typographical error.
So let me explain. There was a version of the contract that was signed after executive session at the last meeting. When we moved that into the formatting and everything, an older version was used and posted. And so to clarify that without just changing it, that we consulted with counsel, and the best thing was to just do an amendment. So really the biggest point of that was the effective date. And so how do we find that out? Well, we submitted the contract to HR, and HR starts calculating, and they said, well, you're going to get a bunch of back pay. And I said, well, how can that happen? Well, because the effective date, remember, this happened in December. So there was a December 2024, January 2025, and so there was just things moving around, and it got changed to effective January 2024, which would have made a huge amount of back pay. And I said, well, that's not the intent of the board, so let's fix it correctly. And so the right thing to do is amend the contract and make it effective January 2025, which was the intent of the board. So that's the purpose of this fix.
Okay.
Or give me a bunch of back pay. But do it publicly so that I don't want to.
Okay, do we have a motion to amend the contract?
Chair Corkle, I move that we amend the contract so that it reads, "The term of this agreement will commence on January 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Now, we have to reschedule our March meeting to March 26th. What was the original date?
The 20th.
20th.
And at the time, there was, what happened was this is the month that we were scheduled to do ACCT training. It's also the month that there's the spring break. And so moving those things around, the ACCT consultants could only come on the 26th. And so that it still avoids spring break. It's the last week before spring break. So that's why we're moving, is from the 20th to the 26th, so that ACCT can be here and we can do that all at one night.
I should know already, but what day of the week is that?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. But it was scheduled for the 20th?
Yep. 19th, sorry.
Okay.
So, see, I got to take that 8-week algebra class.
Okay, do we have a motion to change the date?
Chair Corkill, I move that we reschedule the meeting to March 26, 2025.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, last action item is to approve the 25-26 regular meeting schedule. Has everybody had a chance to review that?
So we did our best to go through and look at all of the events on the calendar that might conflict, spring break, holidays, all that, and put that on there. What you don't see on the calendar is things like the start date of, so this is just meeting dates. It doesn't show you when classes start, when classes end, but this is just the meeting dates. But we have so far deconflicted it with everything else that might be an obvious conflict. Of course, as we just, the last action, sometimes there's things that we don't anticipate. So this will get us planned out for the next year, and I hope that we don't have to make any major changes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Chair Corkle, I move that we adopt the meeting schedule for the 2025 and 2026 year.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And I believe that's all our business for the evening.
That's it.
That's it. Remarks for the good of the order? I have one. It's been a long winter, and as of today, I have crocuses coming up in my front yard.
All right.
All right.
Everybody make sure you grab your shirts. And you want to hit the gavel and
There.